So we have Ty asking just to follow up with the Airdrie one. What frequency do you think would be feasible between Calgary and Airdrie during peak hours?
It depends upon how many trains you have and depends upon what level of infrastructure you've built. If that's like, I know that doesn't answer the question, but that's the base answer. So at 130 kilometers an hour, it's effectively about 30 minutes between Calgary and Airdrie. If you stop also at a station somewhere between Airport Trail and Country Hills Boulevard, that kind of area, because then you get the access into the airport. Because either at the moment there's a bus service that runs along Country Hills Boulevard that goes into the airport, so you kind of catch that by putting it somewhere in there. And in the future, there's a possibility of having another type of service between the Green Line extension, the Blue Line extension, and the airport. They're going to some sort of people mover that they'll have in there. So you're kind of in that area that will catch everything right there. So it's a matter of how much you twin the track. So half an hour for, let's say, an RDC, you could have a train every half an hour, because as soon as the one train gets into Airdrie, the other train immediately leaves, and you can have that kind of frequency of every half an hour. As soon as you twin the line, and if you can arrange with Canadian Pacific that they don't operate any freight trains during peak periods, and that would require a big negotiation. As I said, with the technology, you could get it down to 10 minutes between trains. The Victoria line in London Underground, they operate a train every like 40 seconds. That's the level of technology that they have on the London Underground. So you could have a frequency of a train every minute, technically. So the frequency that you can get is with the modern technology, the way things have evolved with, I can't remember what the signaling system is termed, but it's a radar signaling, so it detects how far the trains are apart. So if one train slows down, the technology is able to bring the train closer in and match the speed. It matches the speed. So even if there's a slowdown, it still runs all close together. But there's still a train every 40 seconds or 45 seconds or whatever. It's really ridiculous. You can get off one train, and before you've gone from one end of the train to, and you need to walk the length of the platform, the next train would have arrived before you've left the platform. But that's the kind of frequency you can get.
That's impressive. One thing I would like to follow up on just from our discussions before the event this evening, you had talked a little bit to accessibility and how that would be able to help different people in different socioeconomic backgrounds or other accessibility challenges.
The idea, my whole goal, some would say too many people who are mobility challenged, I'm going to say, in various degrees. My whole concept is step free from street to train car, totally step free. There's a number of different technologies that can be utilized for that, from something as simple as designing the railhead to be the specific height of the passenger car to the train to the station platform, and then just having appropriately pitched ramps, which is about 2% gradient on the ramps going from the platform to the street level, and just doing that. And in other areas, like something like, say, Sanalta station, put a station at Sanalta, the passenger walkway is overhead and there isn't no real like street access at that point. So you'd have elevators and those kind of things. So, and that's the whole idea. My whole concept is level boarding, street access from street to passenger car. And there's also actually for visually impaired people, there's a whole load of different like things you can do for visually impaired people as well. There's a lot of times you'll see little rumble strips on crosswalks and at platform edges. They're actually there for a reason, for visually impaired people. There's additional stuff you can do within that. So it's not just locates the edge of the platform. You can also set it up so that you can identify where the door is of the train. And as long as the train at the Jubilee line in London is a classic example of this, the train stops at designated points. The driver doesn't have to try and figure out that, okay, yeah, now I can stop the train. No, the train is automatic stopping. It stops at a designated point, and that's why the doors always open at the same location. And you can do that with any train. That's the technology that you can put on any piece of rolling stock. And so the train can stop at exactly the dead same point. So you can have a different rumble strip that goes at the door area so that somebody who is visually impaired goes, okay, this is where the door is. I know exactly where the door is.
Yeah, I know when I'm riding Calgary Transit, I try to gauge with that because usually the train pulls in right to the very end of the platform, but the driver is the one who's stopping that train, so it's always off by a little bit. But I try to stand exactly where I think the door will be, and then there's times where it ends up being slightly off.
Close your eyes and try that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
definitely
that's
different.
the thing. It's a total different situation, and that's why I go on the. I'd have it just like you have the rumble strips. You'd have that train dedicated stopping bang on that point every single time, every single train. That
Mm-hmm.
technology exists. It's used across the world. It's again something that we can show and put in here.
Yeah, just implementing those different layers of technologies together to really show the capacity.